Good day everyone, I am Renelyn Tapayan from Bsba and here I am in front of you para po i-share yung mga natutunan ko sa History of Instrumental Music in Chapter 5. What is instrumental music nga pala? Instrumental music, as the words imply, may composition of music na walang lyrics or pagkanta. Although may kasama itong inarticulate vocals, the music is primarily produced by musical instruments. The beginning of this genre of music is significant para sa pag-create, invent, at pag-develop ng music instruments with particular tonal qualities kagaya ng mga alam ng tao. In addition, it is marked as the beginnings of harmony, rhythm, and melody na nakakapagpaganda ng music noon until now. Although, pagbago-bago ang music taste ng tao, ang instrumental music ay maaaring makagawa ng sound of nature na pumupukaw sa deepest emotion nating mga tao. We have 6 period or eras: medieval music, Baroque music. Classical music. Early and late romantic music, and modern music. First, medieval music. Medieval music period. Secular music with rotated manuscript showing the connection with the church. During this period, music was primarily vocal. The instruments were used to accompany vocal lines or to improvise instrumental dances. Rhythm was not notated during this period, and traditions regarding the treatment of sacred texts, the meter of the text, and the musical abilities of the singers and the instrumentalists often determine the rhythmic complexity and the tempo of the pieces. Melodic intervals and sacred melodies were often based on church modes. Harmonies and tonalities were not functional during this period. Music appears to have been constructed and heard by harmony and tonality were not functional during this period. Music appears to have been constructed and heard as separate lines rather than vertical sonorities. Monophonic texture was predominantly used during the first part of this era, and polyphonic texture began to be used in the mid to late medieval period. Popular genres during this period included sacred vocal music such as plain chant, masses, and motets, and secular vocal songs. Percussion was part of medieval music. Cymbals, frame, drums, timbrels, and wind instrument recorded. Tabor pipes, organs, bladder pipe, bellow pipe, bagpipes, and vocal were center of the sound. In the Renaissance era, music was usually performed by vocal groups, ensemble of 1 to 8 parts. When instruments were used with voices, they often performed the same lines. Instrumental music included ensemble or concert music, and solos such as keyboard music for the organ, harpsichord. In this era, tempos were still determined by the musician as well as the sacred character of the piece harpsichorder. Rhythm began to increase in complexity, and by the end of this period, regular meters began to appear. Melodic range increased during this era, and melodic movement generally had a smooth consonant contour, with small conjunct intervals predominating. Musical phrases were balanced. Renaissance composers sought to blend and pleasing harmonies were sought such as sound of voices and instrument as a triad sixth. Polyphonic texture was predominantly used, and music with many separate lines provided different sonorities and densities. Voices were blended by having musical lines present the same musical phrases one after another. Baroque music. Choral music is no longer dominated in this era. The idea of the modern orchestra was born. Violin, viola, cello, and harpsichord were invented. Important advances in all musical groups. In the Baroque era, vocal and instrumental music were both prominent, and an ensemble such as chamber orchestras became popular. String were the main section of the chamber orchestra, and woodwinds and brass were used for solo effects. Other performance groups included solos, Instruments with chamber orchestra or concreto grosso, soloist and orchestra, chorus and chamber orchestra, organ and harpsichord. Johann Sebastian Bach is a musician of the Baroque period. Energetic, driving rhythms were frequently used during this period. Short melodic and rhythmic phrases were common, included basso ostinato, a melody set over bass patem. Major and minor melodies were used, and emotion was frequently expressed through melodic devices. Ornamentation was frequently used, including improvisation. Expressive tools such as dynamics were generally either loud or soft. Baroque was often polyphonic, and forms included the sonata, suite concreto grosso, oratorio, cantata, opera, and fugue. Sonata form development of modern concreto, symphony, trio, quartet, and obsession with structural clarity. Classical music is a transitional period between the Baroque and Classic periods called Rococo. Set the stage for the emergence of classical style. The Rococo music was characterized by delicate, frivolous expression assigned more to please than to excite the listener. Some transitional composers are Couperin, Scarlatti, and the sons of Johann Sebastian Bach. After the Baroque period, a new style in music is emerged. It is highly refined, simple in melodic line and harmonic texture, and unified by symmetrical form. The early classical period developed expanded instrumental forms such as sonata, allegro, and rondos forms. The beginning of the classical period, the composer or musician were still dependent on the church. The Romantic era is characterized by chamber music, ensembles, large symphony or orchestras, operas companies, and piano as performing mediums. Rhythmics, complexity, and changing tempos were frequently used during this period. Some of music feature strong beats, meters, and rhythm, and other compositions employed fluid rhythm and meter that obscured the use of the bar line. During this era, the increased technical facility of virtuoso performers led to faster tempos. Melodics. Next is early Romantic music, highlighted by the operatic supremacy of Verdi and Wagner. Late Romantic music is a golden age of virtuoso attempts to balance the expressive and the formal in music, composition in terms of emotional content and dramatic continuity. highlighted by the operatic supremacy of Verdi and Wagner. Gradually, this began to change by 1800s. Composers were still writing mainly for the public. The symphony orchestra was organized, which had 4 sections: string, woodwinds, brass, and percussion. The harpsichord was the seldom used by Miller in 2011. Thus, classical music found its way into the very fabric of society, being played outdoors at dinner parties or special occasion, or a spectacle in the form of an opera. Melodies became subjective, emotional, and often were virtuosic, or with long runs, arpeggios, or ornamentation. Greater technical proficiency by performers led to an expansion in the range of the melodies, and changes in dynamics and wide leaps between the notes were frequently used to heighten the expressive qualities of the melodies. New and complex harmonies were introduced, and harmonic variations such as the use of modulation and chromatic tones were common during this period. Genres used included concertos, sonatas, symphonies, and operas. New forms emerged such as character pieces of piano or string, as a North tune, waltz, and etude. Lastly is the modern music. It is a diverse style where the composer of this period have pulled in various directions. The diverse style lead listeners to experience in order to discover if certain composer suits their particular taste in music or not. By Kamen in 2008. The two foremost composers of this period are Claude Debussy and Maurice Ravel, both excelled in works for piano and orchestra. Debussy's most famous composition in piano work is in the piano work Cher de Lune, while Ravel's is in the orchestra work Bolero. Early Romantic music is a golden age of virtuoso attempts to balance the expressive and the formal in music. However, late Romantic music is a composition in terms of emotional content and dramatic continuity. In Romantic era, we have early Romantic music and late Romantic music.